Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, all of us who are participating in our today's fourth session of Vantage. We had earlier three guest speakers. Today we have our fourth event of the series in the HCCB Learning Month 2021. Now we have with us one of my most favorite author, Ankit Jham. Very young, profound, and knowledgeable. Ankit, I know him since 2010, 11 years now. So he'll take us through a session which talks about, a lot of things have happened, right, in last year and a half, and even before that, but specifically year and a half. So now he'll talk about how to convert depression to passion. So to use a case study, he'll use one of his books called Lost and Found at 35. I've read the book. It's again, I said the word profound. Ankit will take us through a storytelling journey. It's not a T or 5D framework. It's more about the story and how we convert ourselves into a quick setup. Many times we may have a bout of depression. I'm not talking about a prolonged one. So how to convert that with a lot of positive energy to a passion, which we nurture ourselves somewhere in the corner of our heart, in the deepest corner, right? So, Ankit, I'll not introduce you. You introduce yourself and tell us the story. Thank you so much once again. I'll go mute on the video. Audio is on. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Arun. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for joining. And I understand 109 people have joined. This is fantastic. 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I think Monday morning, this is unimaginable. I haven't seen this in the longest of the whiles. Either the topic must have really interested you, or somebody might have really pushed you. But I'm hoping and I'm assuming, fingers crossed, that is the first one. You genuinely found the topic interesting, getting up and mustering up the courage. Post-lunch sessions, appreciation, my compliments and my kudos to all of you. You guys are very brave. On that note, let me take a while and introduce myself and tell you about what do I do for a living, how do I earn my earnest bread and butter, and then take you through this journey, the sojourn of depression and passion. My name is Ankit Jham. I live in Delhi, in a place called as Dwarka. You can say that I have 3 to 4 lives, and I've been fortunate enough to be blessed with those 3 to 4 lives. First life is very similar to you. I work for a consulting organization, one of the big fours, with their capability development process. I head 2 of its businesses, but that's the first part of the job. The second part of the job, or second part of my life, is I turned myself into an author in the year 2019. I wrote my first book. The first book was launched in the National Book Fair. It's called as Lost and Found at 35. Since then, some chemical locha happened in my body, and I went on a writing spree. So thanks to lockdown, I've made progress, and I've written some 7 books so far. Third one got published and launched yesterday. So this session is actually very lucky for me because Times of India came out with a book review 2 days back, calling it spellbounding and time riveting. So that's what I do in my second life. I write books. I write on positive psychology. I write stories which have the objective of inspiring lives, and touching people. The first book was on depression, Lost and Found at 35. That's the second part of my life. The third part of my life is I serve as an advisor to the government, to BRICS, which is the Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. I sit on the board. We advise Niti Aayog, and we represent India at the United Nations. That's the third part of my life. The fourth part of my life is I run a social enterprise called as Aao Khilaye. If you go to Google and you find us on Facebook, you'll realize that there are food drives, there are medical drives, there are medical equipment. For example, during COVID, we ran a 24/7 helpline where anybody could call us and ask for ration, food, medical treatment, medical supplies, and we made it possible. By far, I consider that part of my life as the most giving and most fulfilling. And the fourth part is, friends, actually the fifth part, I've lost the count, is I'm a father to a 4-year-old. And if you ask me to rank it, it's difficult, but I would still call playing the role of a father as most favorite. Next would be author, then would be philanthropy, and then, yes, um, doing what I do for a living is I'm working for that consulting firm. So that's what I do, ladies and gentlemen. I've been fortunate, I've been blessed to be given opportunities to write books, to help people, to serve the country in form of bricks, and of course, run a full-time show for the consulting firm. Um, the format of the session is going to be fairly simple. I have been given about an hour, and I'm going to do justice to the best of my capacities. I keep my hand on my heart. I'm I'm praying that you don't doze off, and if you do, I'll make sure that it's a good night's sleep. So either two things will happen. Either you'll be very active, very energetic, or my hypnotic voice will put you to sleep and your subconscious will relax. In both the cases, you have a great time. So great time is guaranteed, friends. Uh, the session is divided into two parts. The first is I'm going to run you through a story. I'm a storyteller. I'm the storyteller since birth, so I don't do any PowerPoint presentation with glamorous English words in it. I do picture presentations and I run people through stories and I make them sure and I make sure that the story hits them hard. So that's what I'm going to do to all of you. Uh, the story ends about 3:45 to 3:40, maybe 3:50, and the last 10 minutes we'll try and keep for question and answers. And that's where the heart lies. That's where our conversations, chats are. You can ask me anything about myself. You can ask me anything about the topic. You can ask me anything, whatever you wish to. And most importantly, if there is any question which you want to connect after the session, I'll be very happy to spend time with you. So that's the agenda for the session, ladies and gentlemen. In a normal physical world, we would have done this personally, but nonetheless, this is the new world order, and let's make most of this. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the session, Leveraging Passion to Depression. Before I talk to you about what I have to say and what I have to show you, let me first tell you that how did we achieve this objective of getting to the point that let's talk about depression, let's talk about passion, and let's marry both. You know, Arun and I were talking, and we have these marathon profound conversations where we talk about spirituality, where we talk about psychology, where he talks about music. And in one of these sessions, he said that, Ankit, what can we do? What is it that you would want to do? So I said, let's talk about depression. The world's obsessed with it, and the world needs to know that depression is not all bad. Depression, we're over obsessed with it. We are over consumed with it. It's become a fashion statement. Someone's saying that it's not audible, so I want to quickly check with everyone. Is it for everyone, or is everyone else able to hear me? Uh, just a quick check. You can type in a yes or a no.
For me, it's
Am I
audible.
audible?
I'm just putting a yes on it.
Yeah, yeah. So to the others, to the others, just put in a yes if you're able to hear me. It'll be a good reassurance, and then I can start. And then Subhas, you might have to log in, log out. Sometimes internet is crazy. Okay, everyone's able to hear me. So I'm going to continue hoping that you're able to resolve IT issues. So yeah. So Arun and I were talking, and I said that Arun, there is a problem in the way we deal with depression, and that's what we should talk about. And the problem is we're over obsessed. You know, and that's what Mother Teresa said, and it stayed with me. He said, you don't need to fight wars. You don't need to be anti-war. You need to be pro-peace. Take a moment, accept it, and that's what I'm trying to say. You don't need to be anti-depression. You need to be pro-life. Dealing with depression is an extremely reactive way, which involves medication, which involves treatments. But the fact is that a depression-free mind, body, personality, there is no guarantee that the person is happy. There is no guarantee that the person is peaceful. I can be sad, grumpy, irritable, and yet not have depressive tendencies. The question, ladies and gentlemen, we're here to ask is, what will it take to create a fulfilling life? What will it take to ensure that our routines, our habits are such that we are able to create mental well-being as a byproduct? So if you see the world is chasing fights against depression, I'm telling you that you don't need to fight depression. You need to make friends with fulfillment. And that's the big shift in mindset. One is more reactive, one is more curative, and the other is more proactive. The other is more preventive. So a part of my mission, a part of my who I am, and part of who I've become, part of who I want to be, and what my books are exactly about this. So, ladies and gentlemen, I invite you to this story, invite you into this journey. You will have to be with me. I promise this is going to touch you somewhere deep down, and I hope that it brings some kind of a positive change. So, remember, we don't need to fight depression. We need to create a life which is more fulfilling. A life which is more fulfilling automatically shall reduce the risk of falling for depression. So, with that thought, I'm going to present something with the pure intent that you'll enjoy it, you'll like it. So, hold on, grab your seat, sit back, relax. If you have a tea, coffee, all you have to do, just listen to me and enjoy this to the fullest. And I should be able to project something very soon. A very
Yes,
quick
it's
check, Arun, since I
visible.
can't, you can see.
Visible,
Okay,
clearly
fantastic.
visible.
Great. So you can see me, you can hear me, you can see the presentation.
All three, tick, 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 done.
Fantastic. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. I'm going to start the movie. The movie, by the Central Board of Film Certification, has been classified as adult. It's not because it has adult content, it's because it has certain things which people typically in our form of society do not wish to talk about, do not wish to address. It has elephants in the room which have not been called out. It has problems and issues which have not been swallowed, and hence the content is adult. It is also adult because in pockets it can prick you, pinch you, it can hurt you, it can remind you of certain ghosts of the past, and it can trigger certain vulnerability. My request, be with the emotion, be with the state, respect whatever your body, mind, and spirit is going to throw up. And at the end of the day, you will be left inspired. So, this is it. The characters and events depicted in the spectacle are fictitious. Any similarity to actual persons, living or dead, is purely coincidental. I don't take responsibility if it hits you, and if it turns out to be your life. It is a pure work of fiction. Why? Because the movie Curious Case of Arjun is inspired from the book Lost and Found at 35. This is how I'm not selling my book. Don't buy the book. I'm telling you. I'll gift it to you in any ways. Uh, but we have a person who is 35 and his name is Arjun. And he's troubled and he's lost and he's found. Take a pause. I'm going to introduce Arjun to you. Not an easy life, not an easy existence. Every single day he gets up from the bed having two thoughts about going to work. He's got mood swings. He's got temperament issues. His relationships are rocking. They've hit the bottom. He's unable to understand. On top of it, there is expectation, there is pressure, there is performance pressure, and there is this dogma of fighting depression where he cannot talk to people. That's Arjun for us, ladies and gentlemen. So at some point of time, somebody asks him that, what's your problem? He said, work. Too much work. Just too much work. At a symptomatic level, at a layer one, Arjun feels overworked. But that's not where the story ends. That's where the story starts. Stress is a sign, is an indication of a larger issue. So Arjun was asked by a friend that, so what's happening in life? He said, horrible relationships. Relationships have gone down the drain. I'm facing difficulty in being patient. I snap at people. I have temper issues. I have anger issues. And me and my wife have hit a bad patch. He's had a loss during COVID. He lost someone very close. He's unable to come out of it. There is trauma. So much that he's unable to cope up with it. At some point of time, he falls for this incessant spree of crying. He misses people. He misses the ones who have gone. That's not where it ends. There are ghosts of the past. There are choices which he made, which he repents. There are issues which are unresolved. There are bad relationships. There is poor support system. There is lack of friends in life sometimes. And of course, he's fighting demons of his own personality. What to do with the career? What kind of a job am I doing? Should have I taken right decisions? Should have I done engineering? Should have I done MBA? Should I have done chartered accountancy? Ghosts of the past. You see, it's like compounded annual growth rate. The only difference is it doesn't grow anymore. It just gets compounded. Losses we go through, work pressures, relationship stress, and the burden from the past, which sometimes we carry. All of it and much more. Add more spice, sugar, add all kinds of Indian herbs to it. Cooks up depression in people. At the face of it, sometimes the person smiles, like Arjun smiles. At the face of it, Arjun might be one amongst you. At the face of it, Arjun might be sitting next to you. At the face of it, Arjun might be laughing, but the next minute, he might lock himself up in the washroom and might be crying. Depression, ladies and gentlemen, doesn't have a face. It just has a very sad, melancholy, crying sound, which is ringing in your ear throughout the days. Take a pause, accept it. As a result of this, collapse happens. This is the state inside, and this is the state outside. Collapse of work, collapse of profession, collapse of health, collapse of wealth, collapse of relationships, collapse of investments. That's the external world collapsing, collapse of belief system, collapse of values, collapse of aspirations, collapse of dreams, collapse of emotions, and collapse of positivity, and collapse of self-worth and self-esteem. We don't estimate the damage depression can do to us. Collapse is a collapse so much that sometimes it becomes irreparable. Sometimes it becomes like a baggage which you have to carry for the rest of your life. Sometimes it becomes like a demon which you have to fight for the rest of your life. Arjun was going through a similar kind of life. He gets up every day and there are negative thoughts. He takes new promotion and he has self-doubt. He wants to travel, shift outside the country, take a new project, learn a new skill, but he doesn't know how to. He decides to lose weight, but he's unable to put himself to discipline. There is a voice in the head which says that you're not worth it. You won't get that promotion. You won't be able to lose the weight. People will lose. People you love will leave you. You will have financial losses. He's got voices in the head and he's tired of it. He doesn't know who to blame. Sometimes he blames his father. Sometimes he blames his parents. Sometimes he blames his friends. Sometimes he blames himself. But the fact is that he just doesn't have the muscle in the shoulder to take responsibility of his life. That's what depression does to you. Like a termite, like a parasite, it eats you up. As a result of that, he cries, he grieves. There is this air of melancholy always around him. There is heaviness in the head, in the eyes, in the chest, in the stomach, everywhere. Almost every second day, he finds it difficult to sleep. If he sleeps, he gets up after every hour. He has bad dreams. He's got nightmares. He loses appetite and whatnot. And there are times without reason he's crying. It's not a happy picture, ladies and gentlemen. What I'm about to explain, this will has the potential to shake you from within. I'm going to take a pause and tell you that 60% of our people still feel that depression is a mind-made thing. Depression is a reason for people to enjoy the victim more. Depression is just a new word, new slang which people have created an excuse. But no, depression alters your personality because it alters your biochemistry. Your oxytocin level decreases, endorphins level decrease, serotonin levels decrease, and cortisol level increases. It changes the hormonal balance of the body. That is what it does. And we don't even know about it. So it's like a color which colors you for life. It changes you from inside out if it is not treated, if it is not dealt with. We.
Uh, I believe we lost Ankit for a minute. Uh,
Reflecting outside. At the face of it, the world around him only sees an irritable, temperamental, anxious, stressful guy, which is absolutely normal because half of us are going through this. Half of us face this. So we say, what big deal? At the face of it, it seems like a dissatisfied person, unhappy with life's choices, blaming every now and then, and we see just bad attitude. He's just unable to cope up with the shit he's been carrying. But the point of the matter is, he's been altered internally, some part of it permanent, some part of it irreparable. That's what depression does to us. I'm going to pause here and tell you that it's important to measure the gravity right. It's important to measure the depth of the problem right. Sometimes we don't. Sometimes we take it too lightly. Sometimes there is social stigma, there is dogma, there is stereotypes. Sometimes there is social pressure of not accepting. Sometimes there is social image that how can a man be depressed? How can a lady be depressed? Who should I go and speak to? That's what Arjun goes through. As a result of that, one fine day, a 35-year-old man lands up in a healthcare unit, a super specialty hospital. Reported symptoms which were written on the prescription, ladies and gentlemen, were weight gain, fatigue, temperament issues, irritability, feels palpitation, increase in heart rate, blood sugar, cholesterol, BP, and acidity. The diagnosis is, of course, there is chronic stress, there is borderline anxiety, there is irritable bowel syndrome, which some of you will get blown away when I try and explain this to you, hypertension, and diabetes. Prescription, very simple. You take Zintex twice a day for 10 days. You take a Xanax, which is antidepressant, after dinner before sleeping for 3 months. And then what was supposed to be a suggestion at some point of time, friends, becomes a prescription. So when the suggestion was given that you must exercise regularly, we ignored, now it becomes a prescription. Somebody told you that you must meditate regularly, we ignored, and now it becomes a prescription. This is the current as is of life. Now, 35 years of age, he's got a list of medication, he's got a list of symptoms, he's on his way to become a medical case study, he's on his way to become a complicated case study in the hands of a shrink. That's not the kind of life anyone wants. I want to take a pause, help you reflect. At some point of time, all of us have met Arjun. God forbid we've been Arjun. We are Arjun in pocket. At some point of time, we realized that we had the potential. Maybe we had that egg of the dragon within us, which someday could have become Arjun. Maybe it has, maybe it has not. It's time to reach out to that person. It's time to reach out to that voice and teach that voice new ways of life. Let me take you into the story. It's a tough life for us. And I'm not going to overemphasize the importance, but I'm going to be blunt and I'm going to tell you it will not be easy. By profession, I did my degree in psychology. I help people dealing with suicidal tendencies. So a part of me also worked for Tihar jail in the Tihar Rehabilitation Center. So I've happened to see really dark corners of life at a very young age from a profession point of view. And let me tell you, it never gets easy. The word which is balance, the word which is tightrope walking is going to be how life sometimes, most of the times, going to be. Is it easy? Of course not. Can it be made easy? I would rather suggest people that replace the word easy and put manageable, predictable, and controllable. Take a pause because this is exactly where I'm going to change the story around. We all can become Arjun. Some of us have, because if we don't run the life from the point of view of fulfillment, from the point of view of routine, from the point of view of control, from the point of view of passion, every individual will meet the same destiny. And that's exactly why, and what we wanted to share with you. Now, a lot of people ask me that, you mean that medicine should not be given? Of course not. You mean that treatment and therapies are not required? Of course not. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying those are still reactive methods. You can put somebody who's got depressive tendencies on medication for 2 months and 3 months. You will still have to back up. You will still have to stand back up. You will still have to run the errands of the life. You will still have to run your life. And if you continue to run your life with medication, the problem is that it's just like alcohol. When I was young, I could take 2 pegs and feel the high. Then I grew up in life, then it became 4 pegs to feel the high, 6 pegs to feel. That's exactly what medications do to you. Antidepressants, in most cases, cause the most amount of depression. Antidepressants have the capacity to decapacitate you and your body that you won't be able to produce natural feel-good hormones, which is endorphins and oxytocin, because they've been doing the job for you, hence you can't do the job for your own body. The word, ladies and gentlemen, is where do we extract organic, real, authentic happiness and fulfillment from? Because if you know the answer to that question, and if you've been able to surrender to that question, if you've been able to respect and honor the answer of that question, I'm telling you that you know how to fight depression. I'm telling you that you fought depressions in the past. I'm telling you that you're already a warrior. And that's exactly what I'm going to tell you in the next few slides. The word is balance. The word is harmony. The word is flow. The word is symphony. And I'm not being spiritual here. I'm not being esoteric here. I'm not being philosophical here. I'm being scientific, rational, and practical. If you continue to chase, or if you continue to fight the battle of fighting depression, you will find yourself surrounded by shrinks, psychiatrists, therapies, and medications. The moment you ask yourself, how do I build life which is conducive to organic happiness, which is conducive to satisfaction, which is conducive to gratitude, which is conducive to fulfillment, getting up from bed becomes easy, going to sleep becomes easy, talking to people becomes easy, and fighting the demons in the head becomes easy. So hold on to your seat, because something is going to hit you hard. You know how athletes are trained for peak performances and how they are asked and they are trained to fight depression. I'm going to share very simple formula with you. It's called PEI, or some people call it as PIE. They say that if you want your life to be risk-free, secure, and free from mental dysphorias, stress, anxiety, paranoia, child's answer to this is be physically active. Now, you might laugh it out and you might say that, yeah, he's given such a big story of Arjun and he's now trying to tell us that just be physically active. Ladies and gentlemen, hold on to the seats because I'm going to bust the myth. Most people don't understand this right. Arjun, in this case, can have antidepressants and inject oxytocin and endorphin in the body. But what he doesn't know, when he becomes physically active and makes at least one passion out of his life in the space of physical activity, endorphins come out exactly in 20 minutes. So if you're not physically active, I'm telling you that 1/3 of your strategy is going wrong, and which means that it opens up 25% risk to fall for depression, because the body is unable to produce the right kind of serotonin. The body doesn't get oxytocin. The breathing pattern is shallow. And most importantly, the oxygen supply is not going into prefrontal cortex. Now, if you're a man of science, you're a woman of science, you'll understand what I'm saying. But the fact is, everything is supposed to be oxygen. Everything is supposed to be toxification of the body, physical activity. And this is also a space where people who run, people who do shadow boxing, people who work out can tell you the impact of post workout on the mind. So ladies and gentlemen, hold on to your seat and ask yourself a blunt question. Am I physically active? Do I invest? Do I have a physical passion? And if you don't, then I'm telling you, you're at a loss. You need to have physical passion. Physical passion does not just mean physical workout for the heck of it. It doesn't mean that infatuation to drop 20 kgs because you want to fit into your old jeans, or you want to get married and hence you want to become thinner, leaner, and smarter. No, it means a lifestyle which is driven by physical passion. And just like a musician would tell you that you will have a physical passion, you just need to find out what the physical passion is. I'm going to pause Arjun's story and give you a perspective. I grew up without a physical passion. I wasn't a sports guy. I wasn't an athlete. I wasn't the one playing football, cricket in school. I wasn't doing any physical activity. But at the age of 28, I turned it around. I started running marathons. I did about 15 half marathons. My best time was 1:59, which according to a novice with a flat feet is pretty good. I started lifting weights. I started meditating, and I saw that the impact on the body, mind, and spirit, focus, attention span, when we look at Excel sheets to find errors, when we want to type that flame email, respond to an irritating email, or when we send emails but we forget the attachments, and the boss says that there are too many errors in this. Those errors don't happen because your mind is sharp. Um, First victory was identifying physical passion. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is so important. Uh, Let me take you to the P. After the P, let me take you to the I part of it. And spend time here because Indians don't do this well. And I'll explain why Indians don't do this well, because something like this gets clubbed, abused, misused under the umbrella of hobbies and interests, which are made for summer vacations, which are made for people who don't do anything in life, which are made for time pass, which are made for free time. Absolutely not, ladies and gentlemen. Uh, Let me be honest. In the past 3 years, uh, I might have helped at least 15 people dealing with depressive tendencies only by pursuing what is called as passion therapy. And under passion therapy, helping them identify their natural flair of creativity. Like a child is inclined naturally to a source of creativity. It could be singing, it could be dancing, it could be painting. Sometimes we play with our ears, sometimes we like visuals, sometimes we like something which we can experience, kinesthetics. We all have an orientation. You will have to find out that once I set a physical routine in my life, how am I giving the right kind of experience to myself? My senses need to be given an enriching experience. Now, let me simplify this. If some of you like cooking, you will realize that when you cook and you love cooking, you are just cooking. You're not thinking about past or present. You're not thinking about this or that. You're not thinking about the boss or the slave or the master. You're not thinking about anything else. You are just in the moment. Well, if you like dancing, you exactly know that you are the dance. You become the dance. You're not thinking about anything else. There is absolutely one single-minded focus. So if you do gardening, if you do knitting, if you do painting, if you do singing, if you do writing, you achieve what science calls it as the state of flow, the optimal human experience available to the human mind, which translates in Sanskrit as moksha, as nirvana. In this case, without marijuana. I want you to take a pause and think about those activities. Each individual, my research suggests, this is where the heart of Lost and Found is. People like us and people like Arjun, the character in the story, they make choices, they carry the burden of the choices, but they forgot to ask a very important question to themselves, that what keeps them happy? What brings them, their bodies, their mind, in a natural state of symphony? Some people will ask that, I don't know, I don't have a hobby. I tell them, go make a bucket list, experiment, indulge yourself, immerse yourself into a few things, and your mind will tell you. I did my acting debut at the age of 30 because I loved acting. Did I act before? Absolutely no, but I had to. If you read the book Lost and Found at 35, Arjun becomes an author at the age of 35. And it's not just about stories. The point is that when you're able to identify a creative pursuit, your harmony of oxygen, blood supply, the brain's anatomy, the gut system, the gut is your stomach, all of it falls into place. There's actually a very interesting research that irritable bowel syndrome, acidity issues, indigestion issues are because of lack of creativity in life, because creative experiences bring a certain kind of balance, equilibrium in the body because it creates oxytocin, the most important neurotransmitter, ladies and gentlemen. So I urge you, I question you, and if required, I'll push you to think that, are you thinking creative about yourself? How many creative pursuits, how many experiences which are immersive in nature, which make you completely lose track of time, have you? Arjun didn't for a very long period of time. Now, if I take away the physical passion and if I take away what is called as the creative passion, you clearly have a 75% risk of falling for depression. Now, if I take away the third pillar also, I am telling you for a guarantee that if your life is not built on these three pillars, you are currently going through a crisis. And the third pillar, ladies and gentlemen, is the pillar of perspective, the pillar of intellectual stimulation, the pillar of wisdom, the pillar of challenging your belief systems by reading. I'm not saying that you need to read, but I'm saying that the clutter, the voices in the head needs to be challenged. So either you prescribe to a spiritual master, respect to that, either religion drives your moral compass or books drive it. But at some point of time, remember, garbage in, garbage out. If you put garbage, garbage comes out. Okay. And you can reverse the process also. If you're carrying so much stress, if you have so much of insecurity, so many demons, so many negative voices in the head, so much of clutter, and you don't take the sharp light of wisdom to declutter all of it, you have a problem. We can't be fighting all our battles basis the resources which we have. We need to inject new resources. So every athlete who has ever achieved peak performance is asked to identify a physical passion, is asked to identify a creative passion for detachment from the stress and worries, and is asked to build a routine and a discipline which is intellectually stimulating, which means they're asked to read. They're asked to read so that they can challenge themselves, so that they broaden their horizons. When the routine of life is built on physical passion, creative passion, and intellectual passion, we reduce the risk of falling for what is called as psychic entropy. What is psychic entropy? Where are my keys? What will be my rating? My wife's not talking to me. What if I go back and she still doesn't speak to me? She doesn't give me attention. He doesn't give me attention. What if somebody coughed last night? I don't know what will happen. I don't have medical cover. I don't have health insurance. I don't have money. I don't have the financial backing. I don't know what to do. I have a fear of abandonment. I have a fear of loss. I don't know what will happen in my career. I don't know how my child grows up. I don't know how the child's health is going to be. You see that psychic entropy. Endless. It's like a bottomless pit. You can continue to fall in it. At some point of time, you have to plug out of it and you have to plug into something which is more beautiful, more peaceful, more harmonious, and it takes into a different world, alternate realities. And that is what passions would do to you. When you do that, your brain circuits get fired up, your synapses get refreshed, your neurotransmitters get electrocuted, and they get reimagined. More importantly, the degeneration of brain doesn't happen. Now, if you think this is Harry Potter, if you think this is science fiction, I invite you to read my book, invite you to go on Google, research, read about it yourself, and you'll realize that every single thing which I'm trying to say has been validated by science, by MRI scans, and by brain mapping techniques. And that's how hard it is. The character in my story at this point of time, coming back to Arjun for the first 35 years of life were spent in blaming, falling for depression, suicidal ideation, and whatnot. But at the 35th year, he realized that I need to own my shit, and I'm sorry for that to use the word. But the fact is, the moment you own the shit, you start putting a routine in life, and you start identifying what gives you natural, organic, authentic state of fulfillment, and that's the word. And it can be a lifelong journey, but it's a beautiful journey to be embarked upon. Most people don't. They stand at the shore, keep looking at the ocean, start thinking that is the water for me? Is it too salty? Is it too wet? Is it too deep? Is it too big, too huge for me? They don't dive in, they don't jump in, they don't travel, and hence we are mostly lost and found. Hold on to that. But it doesn't end here. You know, some people will tell you passion is important. I'm going to tell you passion is important, but there is something else uh, which is more important than passion, which is most important than passion, and that, ladies and gentlemen, is discipline. You can pick a guitar, play it for 2 days, keep it aside, you get nothing. You can start singing, you can start practicing for 3 days, and you get nothing. You can take out a canvas, you paint a picture, you get nothing because you keep it after 2 days, you get nothing till the time you don't surrender yourself to your passion and at a minimal invest 3 months. And that is my personal validation of experience, which got translated into the book. That is what science suggests. Your subconscious does not get enough data point to tell you that is this activity for me or not. So I tell people it's all right, you don't have passion, have discipline. Have the discipline to do something, experiment something for 3 months, invest life into it, and after 3 months, ask yourself, am I good for this or not? I want to do gardening, creativity, I want to do painting, I want to do sketching, I want to do uh, doodling, I want to do physical workout. Do it for 3 months, ask yourself, is this activity or not? You know what will happen? Like a butterfly, it'll call you back. Like a child, like you miss your child, it'll call you back. And if it doesn't call you back, it's not meant for you. You will move on. But if it calls you back, you will not be able to move on. That's what happened with writing. I wrote my first book and I realized that this is it. That's it. And then second book called me, third book called me, fourth book called me, fifth book called me, sixth book called me, seventh book called me. And yesterday I started writing my eighth. It calls you back. It's just a fragrance which just calls you back. So the moment you give 3 months of your life, your mind, your heart, your spirit to an activity, your subconscious becomes rich of so much sensory experience that it's able to evaluate a lot of this and then look back and say, yes, I want to do this. And then when you don't do this, there is void. When you don't do this, there is vacuum. When you don't do it, there is a calling, there is a longing, there is a craving because you want to see yourself doing it. And that's the sign. If you are already seeing it, ladies and gentlemen, A, you are fortunate. But let me also tell you that it will go away if you don't act on it. The discipline of a warrior is important, which is exactly what I call as pursue your passion. The image which you see right now is most important because I tell people that, okay, fair, you've identified passion. So many people will raise hands, but I say, how many pursue? Some hands go down. Some people pursue their passion, which means you do two things right. The third one, most people don't. They don't learn the process of passion. They don't go deeper. Yeah, I've been drawing for the past 15 years. Have you attempted to go deeper? I've been cooking for the past 10 years. I've been baking for the past 10 years. Have you challenged yourself deeper? Have you challenged your skill? Have you pushed yourself to learn something new? Do you understand how the process of baking, creativity, gardening, painting, whatsoever you're trying to do? And I'm just, though I'm naming painting, gardening, but these are names. These are identities of certain activities. In reality, creativity absolutely holds no rules. Process. Learning the art and learning the craft is very necessary. I ran my first marathon. I realized that I was not trained. Hence, I had to get trained. I wrote my first book and then I realized that I'm not trained, which means I need to question the way I write, to question the way I'm disciplined, question the way I frame sentences. So you shed skin like a snake, shed skin like a snake, and you learn the process again and again, again and again, again and again. That's what you do. Call it constant improvement, call it Kaizen, but whatever. Uh, in all three pillars of passion, your intellectual pursuits, your physical pursuits, and most importantly, your creative pursuits. If you don't decode the process of it, if you don't go to the gym and understand how weightlifting is done, you have a problem. If you don't go to people and understand how djembe is played as an instrument, you have a problem. If you don't read better books, you have a problem. And then you're back to step number one, which is we are again prone to monotony, we are prone to boredom, and people who are prone to monotony, boredom, lose interest in daily routines, hence they are prone to depressive tendencies. It's a complete circle, ladies and gentlemen. This is the most beautiful part of the entire journey. You find a passion, you pursue it, you get the process right, and I'm telling you, you'll find your purpose. I do a lot of coaching. I meet a lot of people, and sometimes when people hit 30s, 40s, they ask me the same question: what is the meaning of life? Why do we exist? Uh, I just feel that my existence is incomplete. Hence, they're trying to find out some kind of a symphony, some kind of a flow, and most importantly, some kind of a goal in their life. But we're too hungry, we're too greedy, we're too impatient, we're too weak to control our urges. Hence, we need the purpose now. We need the meaning of life now. We need the the minas now. We need to be told why we are here now. No, it doesn't happen like that, ladies and gentlemen. It just doesn't happen. Purpose is a ugly daily routine which you run for many years, which is based upon discipline, which is based upon immersion into your craft and the stuff which you like. After many years, you look back and you realize that you've done something for yourself, for people, for communities, and maybe that was your purpose. And that is how purpose is. No voice in the sky tells you this is my purpose. You don't get a letter one fine day in your post box and says it's your purpose. You can't go to a counselor and an executive coach and say that you tell me what's your purpose. No, it doesn't happen like that. You craft a purpose like a painting. Till the time the painting is complete, you don't know it'll look good or not. That's how purpose is. So don't chase purpose, is what I tell people. Chase passion. When you chase passion, you realize that somewhere in the mountains, I can see the peak. Somewhere in the mountains, I can see the other side. Somewhere there, I know that there's a village. I need to just keep walking till the time I get some village there. That's the feeling which you get. I'm going to take a pause very soon, show you the last slide. This it's a wonderful slide for two reasons. First, is you see fireflies in the slide. Arjun's life towards the end of it gets to see some kind of a passion. He finds out his. That's where the book I. This slide actually is a connector to my third book. My third book is called Chasing Fireflies. My parting thought to all of you is that a large part of our lives we will spend chasing fireflies. You know, the shiny objects which we think will bring us fulfillment, happiness, satisfaction, sometimes fame, sometimes too many other things. Those are fireflies. They just shine so bright that they confuse us. The battle is which firefly to chase, how much to chase, when to sit, how to relax. The battle is to enjoy the light. The battle is not chasing. And if it is, uh, the biggest battle sometimes is knowing which firefly to chase. So if you're chasing a firefly that I need to fight depression, I'm telling you, you'll fall for depression. But if you're chasing a firefly that I have to create a marked legacy for myself, I need to be happy. If nothing, I tell people that go back every day to your bed and have a target which is not very ambitious, that all I need is to sleep well. Because people who sleep well, they do well. People who don't sleep well, they struggle. They get scarred, they get wounded. The biggest ambition and the most brightest firefly is a good night, healthy sleep, which is an indication of your life, of your health, of relationships, of emotions, of feelings. And to get that good sleep, you need to tire, toil throughout the day, willfully, happily. Feel the stress you want to feel. Run from the stress you don't want to feel. Create a life which is organic to authenticity. And at some point of time, you'll look back and you'll tell yourself, I have lived really well. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to take a pause. This is what my story had to talk about. We have 7 minutes for question and answers. If you want more details, you should buy Lost and Found at 35. If you want more details about chasing fireflies, it just come out yesterday. You can buy that as well. And whatever you want to ask, you have my ears and my attention.
Thanks. Thank you so much, Ankit. You can just stop sharing so we can have a full view of the screen.
There you go.
Thank you so much. Thank you once again for taking us through this journey of depression to passion and the storytelling. The protagonist was Arjun, of course. Now, as of now, I have two questions in the Q&A box. The first one I'll take because Sheetal has used her name instead of using an anonymous. There's nothing wrong in using anonymous, but always prefer to use your name. It's more direct. Sheetal is asking how to measure the gravity of depression where not even single person talk about it. The stigma attached to depression been there for long now. How does one assertively talk about it and make it easy for others? Great one.
Fantastic. I think, Sheetal, partly you answered the question by asking this question. We need to raise questions intelligently. We need to raise questions boldly. What you're trying to do in a forum of 170 people is cracking the whip on the stigmas attached to depression. And that's how the change happens. While it's a long drawn battle, the battle starts in your head first. You be clear that if I can have general physician's number, or if somebody you're talking about, if I can have a person's number जो मेरे kidney का ध्यान रखे, if I can have a person's number who's looking after my general physician, why can't I have a therapist? Why can't I have a coach? Why can't I have a counselor? So it's your battle. The bad news is that the moment you start fighting depression, and I've helped people with this, you will face some backlash. So account and budget for it. It's not an easy way. And not only here, I'm telling you, people in West are also going through this in pockets, but they grow out of it. So is there an easy way out? Absolutely no. But a large part of the battle has to be fought mentally. If it's your case, of course, it's difficult for you to fight, which is why you need to go to people's social support system and speak to them. Number one. If it's not your case, and if it's somebody else's case, provide that psychologically safe environment for people where they can come to you. But the more these kind of questions come to us, the more these kind of questions get raised. I'm telling you that the stigma is already loosening up. In the last 5 years, and specifically thanks to COVID, we should not be thanking COVID for anything, but yeah, we still have to thank COVID. People are getting aware of mental health issues. People have accepted that mental health is most important. That's my first point. The second point is most people don't know depression is actually not bad. It's the nature's way of telling you that you haven't mourned for a loss. You haven't been grieving. So please grieve. It is important to feel the melancholy. So the right kind of education sometimes is extremely important. So every time somebody says that I'm depressive, I ask him that, are you so depressive that you can't manage your life? He said, no. I'm not so. I said, then absolutely fine. Go feel depressed. Go embrace and respect that emotion which the body is throwing up. Anxiety was supposed to prepare you for an attack. Paranoia is supposed to prepare you to find something which you've lost. Stress is supposed to tell you that, listen, something alien has gotten into you. And depression is supposed to prepare you to cry for a loss. The problem is we have an issue with vulnerability. We have an issue with pretending to be strong and pretending to be all macho. And that's where the larger problem is. I tell people, don't talk about depression, leave the stigma, at least let it be open for people to cry. Let people feel weak, let people feel vulnerable. Don't judge them for that. I'm just going to take 30 more seconds. Sheetal, let me share personal context here. Arun knows about this. I'm doing this session. The session was supposed to happen on the 17th of September, but it didn't because 16th of September, my sister was brain dead. She survived. She didn't survive. She was in the hospital for 4 days. She was brain dead. She was in coma. I cremated her on the 22nd September. I'm still grieving. And if you go to my Facebook post, I started the 8th book yesterday because I wanted to grieve with her. But the only thing I did was I made it open that I'm vulnerable. I cry in the open. I make space, and I wasn't like this. I was the one, the typical North Indian. You can't cry. You have to hide tears. I don't. 10 days, my real sister was like a mother. With the family is grieving. The only thing which we've done is that we cry in open. We've given ourselves the right to feel bad, and that's most important. And that's exactly what I want to tell you. There is no shame in feeling weak. The moment we get that, the world will be a better place, and then we don't have to fight battles that when do we talk about depression or not. So that. So I
Thank
think we
you.
have one more anonymous question.
We'll take this one. Anonymous has heard in one of the television channels that control of negative thoughts is not possible. Both body and thought processes are different. Any comments? You're trained, you studied psychology. Give us a.
Yeah. So let me give you a perspective to that. Partly I agree. The control, see, the origin of thought is unknown. We don't know where the thoughts come from. And some people say that thoughts, emotion, feelings are linked. You will also see Ayurveda telling you that thoughts actually originate from the stomach. It's the gut which is actually triggering because there is a brain. But I'm not going to confuse you with that. The answer which you deserve, and with the answer, the attention which this deserves, is that accept the fact that negative thoughts do have a velocity. And you can't fight the velocity by eradicating negative thoughts, which is by watching negative thoughts. Awareness towards negative thoughts is most important. So where I agree with you is that you can't eradicate them. There is no life where there is no negative thought. It is the entire anatomy of the brain. If you are walking down the road and it's completely dark, your brain is supposed to give you negative thoughts so that you don't get mugged and the dog doesn't bite you. If there is darkness all around in a new hotel and you feel something fishy, you're supposed to feel negative. If you feel positive, I'm telling you, you're at more risk because then it's blind, toxic optimism. So negativity is not bad. And the person who's anonymous, I hope he's listening. It's not bad to feel negative. Please do not demonize and do not ridicule negative thoughts. Negativity can save money in stock markets. Negativity leads to buying more insurance for yourself and for more people. It's when negativity becomes maladaptive. When it becomes obsessive, when it paralyzes you, when it becomes a parasite and renders you useless. That's where medical conditions comes in. So please see both of them as different.
Ankit, before we close, we'll take one last question because that's beautifully framed. Again, anonymous though, but I'm loving it because. Okay, now this is asked by T. Narasimhamurthy. Narasimha, thanks first of all to share your name. That's a beautiful question. How do we connect passion, belief, and courage to overcome this depression? Wonderful package question, Ankit, to that.
Fantastic. How do we connect passion, belief, and courage? Fantastic. So let me rephrase the sequence. You work with the belief system first, which means the voice in the head. What are hobbies for? Yeah, they are time wastage. Why to pursue passion? If you can't make money out of passion, what kind of a passion is that? If you want to be peaceful, might as well go to the Himalayas. All of this is a belief system. All of this is a belief clash. So you work at the belief system first. You check yourself. Do I really believe in the power of passion? How do I define passion? And I'm telling you, most people define passion with money. They say, I don't want to do musical instrument because how will I earn out of it? Our brain has a wrong definition of success. We don't want to enjoy the experience. We want to enjoy the outcome of the experience and then place it in a frame and a statue or in a certificate model. Absolutely not. So you remodel your belief and then you display courage to start practicing a passion, start taking a hobby, start immersing yourself. That is courage. When the world calls you idiot, you still hold strong on your ground because you think you're passionate. When the world tells you you can't make money out of it, you turn back and you say that I don't want to make money out of it. I want to earn my peace and my good night's sleep. That's courage. When the world gives you criticism on your piece of writing, you go back to your laptop and you still write because you feel happy. You're very clear with the chasing firefly part. You are chasing the firefly, which is experience, which is moksha, which is joy, which is the joy of doing something. And then you realize passion comes effortlessly. The belief, courage, and passion. In 30 seconds, reverse. You want to pursue passion at external level? Go buy a guitar. Your mind will tell you that the teacher doesn't know, he talks too much, I have responsibilities at home, who's got the time? Belief interferes and eats up your courage. You will have to get the story right in your head.
Thank you once again, Ankit. Thank you. Wonderful and real deep insights. Thank you so much. I deeply appreciate the way you narrated the entire concept in a form of a story. We have a couple of more questions as well, but I mean, in the interest of time, we will close now.
I can take, if you guys
Yeah.
don't have engagements, if people don't have commitments, I can spend a few more minutes, but I leave that discretion to you. If you want to take a few more, or you can send these questions to me with their mobile numbers, email IDs. I will personally respond to them.
What I'll do is, Ankit, I'll take the entire Q&A log and I'll attach the phone numbers, and I'd request all of you at any point of time. I know Ankit is fairly active in all possible social media, whether it's Facebook. Oh, Kishore has already published the book Lost and Found at 35. Write to Ankit. I'm doubly sure, knowing him for last 11 years now, he would respond within 24 hours flat. If
Absolutely, I will.
Right. So please stay in touch with him. Yeah. And wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing a lot in absolute candor. Wish you all the best and look forward to many more sessions
so
like
much.
this. And we can interact with authors like Ankit who have come out and open to share their own vulnerability, their own life about their. I mean, it's like a case study given to someone else in a form of an outside-in learning. Thank you so much, Ankit.
Thank you so much, Arun. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. God bless. Take care. Lots of love. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Bye, Arun.
Thank you, everyone, for joining in. We'll meet up soon. Thank you, Ankit.